Hello everybody, hope that you are good. This video is going to be quite important because we want to start with a bit of education. I'm going to explain my thought process behind the last Bitcoin Sunday update that played out almost perfectly, and I'm very pleased because it took me a long time on Sunday. It took me around 4 hours to do that, so I'm always happy when things work in the right direction. So we're going to start with that. Then we're going to, of course, going to talk about a high time frame. We're going to be discussing whether if this is the bottom or not, or if Bitcoin is going to enter a bear market. And also we're going to jump into Ethereum for a bit. I found a fractal. I'm not a fan of fractals because price action is unique in each time, so it doesn't have to repeat, but I found something quite similar that I would like to share with you guys. And then we're going to talk a bit about Solana and DAO and stuff. So we're going to start with Bitcoin, okay? 1 hour time frame, guys. This was the Bitcoin Sunday update. You have it there. And so you understand the moment that what I posted. Basically, you can see that is this. Then, that part is this part. This little consolidation is here, okay, you're following, and then this drop here is basically this. So this is the moment where I started doing the Bitcoin Sunday update. So when I did this update, I was pretty much thinking of potential drop low and consolidation. That's what we saw exactly in this zone, okay. Then a push up, a little wick up to 84k. We got that there. You can see how we hit 84k. That is because of the 1 hour 50 MA. I was trying to figure out where was it going to position itself, okay. So got that part right. It hit the 1 hour 50 MA resistance, and this moment was the biggest challenge of the analysis because I had to decide whether if the 1 hour 50 MA was going to be resistance or if it was going to break through it. I decided that was going to be resistance and we're going to see a rejection. And that was based on the idea that we created a new CME gap that weekend, around 86k due to this drop here over the weekend, okay? And I noticed that everybody was talking about the CME gaps, because last weekend we created one and we filled it the same week. And we also just filled a CME gap from a few months ago. So everybody was looking at this CME gap at 86k. And of course, the market likes to, give you a tiny bit to then do the opposite the next time. So I was thinking, okay, this time it's possibly going to do something different because it's going to catch everybody off guard. So that's what I thought, okay, that's the moment where we could see a reaction and then a big drop, very sharp, as you can see there, to 77k. Basically because that's where the weekly 50 MA is, which is the biggest bull market support historically. So I was expecting to get there to get a retest and of course to see a bounce, a very good bounce to 81k. That is what we've just seen today, okay? So that was my thought process behind the Bitcoin Sunday update. It's not something that you can take for the next Sunday because I just analyze each case in a different way based on logic and intuition. Okay, so again, happy that it played out because it's an analysis that I share for free. So it feels good, to be honest. Then if we go into the weekly time frame, and this is where the fun begins, okay, is the bottom in. So to answer the question of whether if this is the bottom or not, then I need to look at what happens previously and from a historical data point of view, what happens at the 50 EMA in the weekly time frame, okay, which is the most important and the biggest, the strongest bull and bear market indicator, okay? Because when you're above it, you're in a bull market, but when you lose it and you retest it at resistance, like what happened here in this yellow rectangle, then that is telling you, yes, we're entering a bear market. So as you can see, pretty much right now, we're at the most critical area, the most critical level that Bitcoin can be at. So look at what happens here, June 2021, okay? You see an uptrend, retrace, retest the support of the weekly 50 MA, continuation, you make a new high. Here, June 2023, the same. You see an uptrend, retrace, retest as support and continuation, new high. Happens here again, August 2024, guys. Uptrend, retrace, retest as support, continuation. You make a new high. Is it going to happen again? Uptrend, retrace, retest as support, continuation. Okay, that is what I'm looking at here. Of course, it might be too early to say that because we still have 5 days left until we close this weekly candle. So we are just at the beginning of the week. We still have a lot to go. But personally, I do believe that it's more likely to close this weekly candle above the weekly 50 MA, signaling support. But again, tomorrow we have the CPI data. So who knows? There is going to be volatility. Are things gonna turn? It's possible. I would like, again, and I do think based on intuition, that was the bottom. We are going to hold the weekly 50 MA and we should see bounces from here, okay? And we should see a bounce from here, potentially into new highs. That's what I'm thinking based on what I believe this cycle is going. I don't think that was the top. Simply because when it's the top, people don't think it's the top, okay? And right now, if you go on Twitter or you go in any other social media, you're gonna see a lot of people, almost 50-50, probably discussing that this was the top, okay, that the top is in. And at least that's what I see. So also market sentiment here being so bearish, the stock market also is rolling over. I don't know, maybe I'm completely wrong. We'll see it in a few months, but I do think that is, again, more likely that we hold the weekly 50 MA. The question is for how long though, because as you can see in these previous cases, we actually retested it for a few weeks, even 1-2 months. Okay, for example here, we tested it in May 2021, and it's not until the end of July when we break out, okay? So that's basically 2 months there around the weekly 50 MA. Then what happened here, for example, is a bit different because you are, playing around the weekly 50 MA for 1 month, then you see a bounce, then it falls again, little fake out there. This case a bit different. Really, here we were a much longer time. And the last time we've been here was in June of last year, and we didn't break out until September, okay? So, really July from September, so that's 3 months, okay? 2-3 months of consolidating around that area. So here's what I'm telling you guys, who knows? It's possible that we get an instant bounce from here, but based on a historical basis, it's more likely that we, hang around these levels for, March, April, and then maybe in May, we can start to move up. Okay, if that's the case, that we actually hold this level. And of course, the validation is very simple. Give me what happened in December 2021. Close this weekly candle that we still have 5 days, close it below the weekly 50 MA, and then for the next few weeks, test it at resistance. Then what is more likely is that we start to roll over at least to 52K. Potentially, here there is a week that we could fill, and that's at 40K, all right? But again, I do think that could be less likely in this moment, okay? Based on my personal opinion. Again, we'll see what happens. Maybe I'm completely wrong on this, but that's my take, okay? Then, so basically answering the question, is this the bottom or not? I do think yes. If this is a bull market and it's not over, this needs to be the bottom, okay? That needs to be the bottom. Again, in these few weeks that we're going to be, hanging around this level, this weekly 50 MA, potentially we could spike a bit lower, with wicks, but the candle closing above it. That's, for example, what happened here in May 2021. Also, it happened pretty much in most of all, basically in all previous cases, okay? You see little wicks below the weekly 50 MA, but my point is that from a structural point of view, the weekly 50 MA is the level where we are closing weekly candles, and that is indicating a bottom, okay? That's what I want to see. The next question is what is happening, for example, with Ethereum. So I don't want to check the Bitcoin, Ethereum versus Bitcoin, although you can see that we are making a new low. So I would like to see a bounce very close from here, potentially in this area here. But again, it's very difficult to tell, so I'm not gonna jump into conclusions. But if we check the Ethereum with the dollar pair, you can see something here if we put the 2 weeks time frame. Okay, so what is happening right now, as you can see, is that we have been in a very tight range between 4,000 and 2,000. all right, you can see that 4,000 was the range highs very clearly there. You get 3 retests, and the range lows at 2,000 you also have there 3 retests. Now what is happening is that this looks like a potential breakdown, but it could turn to be a deviation with time. Okay, for example, if we see, this would be of course the clearest signal ever. Okay, but if we close this weekly candle with a wick, okay, and we actually close it back above 2,000, that would be the clearest signal that this was a deviation. You know, they're gonna start to, well, in the next candle, you would start to see real retest of the range lows, and you would go again to the range highs. Okay, that will be the clearest signal. And if you pay attention, this is something that we've seen before. We've seen that in here. If I zoom out like this, you're gonna notice the similarities. Okay, there is only one difference. Okay, so first of all, this is the type of deviation that I'm talking about. That wick there, but the weekly candle closes above the range lows. That's what I would like to see. Okay, that will be the most obvious signal that that's a deviation, and we are seeing something similar to what happened here. And also the difference was this long wick that we had to the upside, which of course we don't have that now. And it's the same, because when I see a long wick like that to the upside in an uptrend, all I'm thinking is, you know, we're gonna bounce to fill the wick, and we don't have that right now. So of course I don't have the same confidence as I would have had back in 2016 when this happened, but the structure is very similar. Okay, so again, I'm not a fan of fractals because price action is different in each time, and a lot of things have changed since 2016 to now. The liquidity, for example, is not the same at all. It was much easier to move prices back at this time than now. Right now, for example, you even have the US government, you know, playing with Ethereum, Bitcoin, Solana, XRP. So there is much more manipulation. Okay, but it's true that it was easier to move price back at the time, okay, by retail in 2016. So that's something to pay attention to. And if that ends up to be the case, then you can just wait if you want to do the end of the week. And if we close the weekly candle above 2,100, that's your confirmation. Personally, I don't really see Ethereum going much lower than this. Okay, so personally, I bought quite a lot of a spot at 1,190, 2,000 exactly. So in this area here, I load in a spot, all right? And the reason why I did that is because I knew that, you know, it's likely that Bitcoin goes back to the weekly 50MA, and it's likely that if that's the case, Ethereum drops lower, but not that much lower. How much more can it drop? To 1,750? Well, we've got there. I've added the spot there. How much can it go lower? Personally, I do think that it can go as low, maximum, as 1,500. I don't see it going lower than that, to be honest. Okay, so in my opinion, all this area here, it's a great area to add in a spot. Okay, that's what I think. Again, as long as the weekly 50MA holds for Bitcoin, because if that's not the case, then Ethereum is going to, you know, continue going lower to maybe 1,000 or below it. So everything depends on Bitcoin right now. But if Bitcoin is about to hold this level, and we want to see a potential another potential leg up, then I do think that that's a good level for Ethereum, between 2000 and 1600 or so. That's the area where you want to buy in a spot. All right, so that's just my opinion. And then let's finish the video because it's being quite long. If we go into Solana and you go into the weekly time frame, you guys can see here how you have a very clear range highs, range lows. Going to the daily time frame, you're gonna see even better here. Okay, look at this level. Look at 120. Look what happens at 120. How many retests can we get, please? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 now. Okay, this is a very high time frame support. Again, if Bitcoin is going to hold the weekly 50 MA, which we don't know if it will, but if we bet that it will, then I believe that this is a good area to buy. That's what I've bought my Solana, between 120 and 130, okay? And I've said this when we were here at 175, when we were dropping before even this drop, I was marking this level, okay, at the range low. So that's what I'm thinking, okay, between 130 120, Solana is good. Of course, we can wick below it. It happens most of the time. You can see here how many times we wick below it. We even went, for example, here to 105, 115, 110. It's normal. This time we're going to 112. These wicks here are normal. It doesn't mean anything, What matters is how we close those candles. And for example, today we will be closing below the range lows. If it closes like this, and that would signal a deviation and then a potential recovery of this zone. Okay, for example, here you have a liquidity pool here. That red candle there is a big liquidity pool that we're gonna go back to in the future. Okay, so there's a few thoughts. Again, not a bear, not a bull. It's just TA. My TA says that there is no confirmation of a bear market. Everyone that is saying this is a bear market, they are gambling. Okay, there is no confirmation of it. We are holding in Bitcoin. Let me see. We are holding so far, and we've just retested the weekly 50 MA. And these kinds of drops here, look at, for example, this drop was at 25%. Okay, this drop at 17%. This drop at 46%, and we've dropped at 28%. All of these have previously been, in hindsight, we can see that they've been corrections before the next leg up. And they were only corrective moves to retest the bull market support level, that is the weekly 50 MA, before the next leg up. Alright, so the question is, are we seeing the same thing? So far, yes, because we've just retested and we're holding above it. Things will change again if we drop below it, close below it, tested our resistance for a few weeks, then yes, that's your bear market signal. Then yes, you can say that this is a bear market. You can tell your followers to sell their bags like they're saying now, and Bitcoin can drop again. But so far that's not the case. Right? So far we're holding above support. So again, just a video to keep your feet on the ground, to bring you a bit of logic and sense to this world that is very chaotic, and this is just how I'm playing it. Okay, so we're still in a bull market until proven otherwise. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.